Alright, this is a quick video I wanted to do for Manga Studio 5. Just a little trick, I guess you could call it, or tip for highlighting. Something I tried to figure out when I first started using this program. I couldn't really find any videos for this other than with Photoshop, and I found that they're actually pretty similar, but was lacking one little detail or tool to get my stuff to kind of look that way like it did in Photoshop. And I actually discovered this by mistake. I went for a while without it. Was very frustrated. So yeah, I've been using this program though for a couple years now, and I like it. It's a good program. So real quick, okay, got your picture here flatted, and also this is something I use for if you do highlighting and shading with the lasso tool. That's what this is useful for. So anyways, the issue I was having before, go down here real quick, is I wanted to say do a highlight on this area. So let me just do a quick little thing here. And I was always going to my airbrush tool. Go down here, make sure we're on the screen, which we are. Let's see here, we're on the wrong layer. Okay. So this is the problem I was always running into, which I was watching people on Photoshop do this and they weren't having this issue. I'm sure it was a setting they've got in theirs, which I just didn't know how to change this setting. And that's what I wanted to show you guys real quick. So let me zoom in so we can see, make sure you guys can see this. So if you see here, I highlight this lassoed area. Problem is, you get these real these lines here that really stand out, which I didn't like. When I was watching people do this on Photoshop, it's much more blended option, which, you know, I did discover you could go into the tools, into the blend tool here, and go up to your blur tool, and you can actually manually blur all these lines, which actually works. I mean, it's not a terrible option, but I found it wasn't the best option, because sometimes you would notice stuff just kind of looked jaggy, didn't look straight, didn't look right. So this is the tool. Turn my lines back on here. Okay. Funny thing was, this was right under my nose. I just didn't realize it. So once you've got your areas lasso that you want to highlight, you got this bar that comes up right here. Right next to your show border selected area, which is a tool I use all the time to turn your lines off so you can really see what you're doing. Right next to that's the third one over from the left. It's called blur border. And if you push that, you get an option to come up here for area to blur. This is just something you got to play around with. I find that really the number depends on the size of the area I'm doing. You know, if you've got smaller areas you're trying to highlight and you turn this number up, I think it was all up to 200. Yeah, all up to 200. It'll actually shrink your selection down to where it's pretty much non-existent. So, you know, I don't really have a magical number to tell you to use here. It's just something you got to play with. I generally, though, use something around, I don't know, 30 to 50. So let's just do 30 in this case. Okay. Now, if we go back to our airbrush tool, I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to overdo this just so you can see it. You'll notice my lines here now are already blurred for me. Gives it a much nicer effect than the alternative, which I will show you that again. This was the old way I was doing it. And again, you can see the difference there. You've got those lines, and the problem, I mean, sometimes those lines actually look okay, but you know, if you lasso an area and it doesn't look perfect, like, I don't know if you guys can see this here. Zoom way in. You know, you got this area here where I didn't quite lasso perfect, and it, you know, you got some discolored here that you don't want. And it just, unless your lines are really good with the lasso tool, a lot of times I found it just kind of looked off and odd. It just stood out too much. So it's a nice little tool. Like I said, it's a tip I wish I had known when I was using this program, because like I said, doesn't seem to be a lot of videos out here for Manga Studio. Plenty for Photoshop, and for the most part I could usually look at a video on Photoshop and figure out how to emulate that with this program. But like I said, I don't know if it was something they had in their settings in Photoshop. You know, people weren't showing because it just was already set up that way or what. But yeah, I had to figure that out, and like I said, I kind of discovered it by accident and felt kind of stupid because, like I said, it was right there under my nose all this time. So anyways, hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I will help you if I can. Thanks for watching.